Hello, everybody. It's Adelaja here. I'm back with you today to keep on talking about this, our very sensitive and very serious topic, understanding suicide, mass shooting, and depression. Understanding suicide, mass shooting, and depression. Okay, but today the topic I'll be talking about is something that most of you will not. You probably not believe it, or you believe it after you hear, but it's what most people don't suspect that could be responsible for depression. And it could also not just be responsible for depression itself, it could also lead to suicide and also lead to mass shooting. And the topic is how expectations could lead to depression. How expectations could lead to depression. And from depression could go bad and go to suicide. And suicidal thoughts could also lead to mass shooting. So what I'm talking about here is that there are life situations whereby all of us have expectations in life. And because without expectations, really, you cannot live. Expectations are connected with hope. Expectations are connected with passion, ambition, energy to live. Expectations are connected to life itself. So, how could these same expectations lead to death? Well, it's quite easy. The Bible says that when expectations don't come to pass, it's like killing your bones, drying the bones. But as a matter of fact, unmet expectations could just not just dry the bone, but dry up your life. There are a lot of life situations whereby it is expectation that has brought a lot of people to depression, and a lot of people are in their graves right now that it is expectations that have brought them there. Let's start by talking about unrealistic expectations. Unrealistic expectations will always lead to disillusionment. A lot of people are disillusioned in life because of unrealistic expectations. Unrealistic expectations are expectations that you believe in, that they are real, that you could pull them off. But in real sense, they are more than you. They are more than you could chew. So there are expectations that you sincerely believe in and you are sure will come to pass. But unfortunately, they did not come to pass mainly because they are not real. Everybody else around you will know that they are not real, or most people around you will know that they are not real, but you know the way people are. They don't want to become your enemies, so they don't want to discourage you, and they will not tell you the truth. And for those who speak to you and tell you the truth, most of the time you see them as critics and you see them as being negative. And a lot of people who are our friends and who think well about us don't want to get into our bad books. They don't want to get to that place where they are viewed as being as our enemies, or as being critical, or as being negative. So they just leave you and try to support you as much as they are, but at your behind your spine, they will, behind your back, they will keep on doubting you and talking with other people about the craziness of your idea. But when you have invested so much in something, and then you are discovering that it will not come to pass, or those things will not come to pass, or they are unrealistic, yeah, those could be heartbreaking. But heartbreaking is just an event. But what is bad about depression is that besides being heartbreaking, it could ruin you forever, because that could lead to you getting discouraged. And when you are discouraged that way, it could lead you into all kinds of consequences. Bad mood, moodiness, rumination, It could lead to evil and negative thoughts. And then you begin to think that you are not good enough or that everybody is against you. And that is how unrealistic expectations could bring to depression. And depression could also bring to suicide thoughts. It could lead to suicide or lead to mass shooting. So when you see that you have unexpected or you have some expectations that have failed you, that didn't come to pass, and you begin to realize that this has led to you thinking negative about yourself, being discouraged. If you've seen that this has led to disillusionment and you cannot cope with it, please run and see a specialist. Go look for a psychotherapist. Go and don't just keep it to yourself. Don't just think it will go. Because another problem why a lot of people also fall into the arms of depression is because they think it will go. They just think that, well, the way it comes is the way it will go. It will go away. But most of the time, it might not go away. And then sometimes it's too late by the time, other people begin to notice it or you begin to notice it, and it has become a huge, huge problem. But it is understandable when unexpected expectations or unrealistic expectations that cause depression. Unrealistic expectation it's understandable. One could say, why should you be unrealistic? It is your fault. You are expecting too much. So one could understand that. But what I want to say today is that it's not just unrealistic expectations that bring about depression or that could lead to depression. There are other expectations that are actually realistic that could lead to depression. If you, for example, a student that is working hard and wants to pass the exams and wants to do well in his examination, you have worked hard, you have done your best, you thought that you have read enough or you have done what is required of you, and then you fail. That could lead to depression, and not just depression, that could lead to discouragement, disillusionment, and eventually to depression. And we know the stories that a lot of people have committed suicide just because of failing their exams. There are also expectations that have led to suicide when children or teenagers expect their parents to do something for them. And sometimes some of those expectations might be unrealistic, but to them it's really realistic. And sometimes the parents just fail to keep their words. Maybe the things are realistic, but the parents fail them. And we've had reports of teenagers committing suicide. So expectations, either they are realistic or they are unrealistic, could lead to suicide thoughts. And not just thoughts, but could lead to depression and suicide, actually. So, but why is it that they lead to suicide? Let me do it. They lead to suicide because they were not addressed on time, because nobody noticed or paid attention to the first stage of depression. Because it's natural to be discouraged, and it's natural to be disillusioned. It's natural to feel disappointed that you didn't give your exams, or somebody let you down, or your parents didn't do what they promised you to do, or your friends, or your lover, or your colleagues, anybody. But at that stage, if it goes beyond discouragement, if it goes beyond disillusionment, if it gets to a stage of rumination and being moody, and that is the time that somebody else needs to pay attention. And if they don't pay attention at that point, that could lead to full depression. And of course, depression is bad enough. So that depression could lead to bad things, bad consequences. It could lead to suicide, it could lead to mass shooting, it could lead to anything. So we need to learn to pay attention to these kind of things. When you see people around you who have gone through disappointments, who have gone through disillusionment, who have gone through things like that, traumatic events, we need to pay attention to them so that it doesn't lead to death or suicide or death of other people. We also see that disappointments expectations could also come as a result of our career. A lot of people believe that they desire to get maybe promotion, or they are doing their best at their workplace, and they are supposed to, be acknowledged or to be appreciated at work. But when they are not appreciated, when they don't get what they think that they deserve, that could also lead to your career, your job, your work, could lead to depression, and that depression could lead to suicide. And your ambitions also could lead to depression and suicide if there is disappointment there, if there is, because ambition is connected to expectations. So if you have an ambition to do this and that, and then it fails, that ambition fails, or you fail in that ambition, that could also lead to depression, because it's also unexpected. It's also expectation that is not fulfilled. So unfulfilled expectation it could cause a lot of problems. It could cause a lot of problems. For example, I know people who try to lose weight, and they try to control their eating habit. They try to fast or diet and do exercise. And when they see that these things are not working out for them, they are not losing weight, or they are not looking as good as they expected to look at the end of their activities, some of them have gone to depression. A lot of people that we see that have a lot of weight sometimes is as a result of depression, because they give up fighting, they give up striving, and they just, end up eating and keep on eating, or maybe not even eating, but they just get disillusioned and disappointed so much that they cannot do anything anymore. They stop fighting. I think that's the best way to say. They stop fighting, and we know that a lot of people have committed suicide as a result of overweight, as a result of having too much weight, and because they couldn't do anything about it, they couldn't control it. So, and it is easy to condemn these kind of people and say, well, why should you kill yourself? It's because you want to escape. It's an escapist method. Well, when people are depressed, they don't really care. That's the problem. That's why we don't want situations to get out of hand. When people are depressed, they don't care. They don't care. To them, dying is the easiest way. It's an easy escape. It's easier for them to die than for them to go out to the gym. It's easier for them to die than to go to work out. It's easier for them sometimes to die than to get up from bed. So depression is a very big problem, and what depression does is that it paralyzes your will, and your will to walk, your will to initiate, your will to do anything. So that is why we must understand and try to understand and reason with people who are passing through depression, because they are not in control of the situation. They are not in control of the situation. They are victims of the circumstance that they have found themselves in. But one of the things that I really want to talk about on this topic of expectations is that I come from Nigeria and Africa. I see a culture that is mainly based on expectations. For example, some preachers will preach and say, your destiny helper, pray for a destiny helper, that there's going to be a destiny helper come your way. Somebody is going to help you. That, they just preach to people and make them to expect that God will do something, or somebody will come your way and knock at your door. So a lot of those kind of talks and expectations that you will get somebody, a destiny helper, somebody will come that will come and help you and things like this. And how many people have those kind of stories? How many people have those kind of testimonies? Especially when pastors and preachers preach, they will tell you, I didn't have money, somebody came and knocked at the door and brought me food, or I needed some money to travel, somebody came and brought a ticket, and somebody did this, and the pastors, for pastors, it's easy to have those kind of testimonies because they have thousands of people under them. And you could understand that people want to please them, and when you have 1,000 people in your congregation, there will be 1 or 2 people who are well off, and most people will love you and want to do something for you. So, but with the way these pastors preach these messages is as if God does it, and God did it, and as if people should expect a helper. People should expect somebody to come and do something for them. The destiny helper, they call it in our continent. I mean, that is funny. That is ludicrous. It's a shame that people are being made to put their hope in people. That's exactly the opposite of what the Bible says. The Bible says that we shouldn't put our hope in people. But the way they make things happen is to make you put your hope in other people, to make you put your hope in expectations. And those expectations, when they don't come to pass, we'll see that people become disillusioned, they become disappointed, and they are depressed. And while I was preparing for this topic, I discovered that my country is, even though we are Africans are some of the happiest people in the world, and Nigerians are enthusiastic, and they are zealous, and they are exuberant, and they are jovial, and laughing and loud. But I discovered that a lot of them are actually living in depression. A lot of them are living in depression because of the culture itself, the church culture, the culture of the church especially, and the culture of expectations. This culture of expecting somebody to come and do something for you, it always ends up in disappointment. And expectations that don't come to pass will always lead to depression or will lead to disillusionment. And disillusionment is the easiest way to depression. So I would like to encourage everybody that is watching me right now to discourage those kind of preachings and discourage this kind of talk of, oh, my uncle will come and do something for me, or my brother will do something for me. We need to have faith in ourselves. We need to begin to have faith in God and in ourselves. And we need to begin to depend more and trust more in our own efforts than in the expectation that somebody from somewhere will come and do something for us. There is another factor of expectation. Our expectation leads to suicide and leads to depression. This one is going to be very sensitive because also connected to our religiosity. Sometimes expectations from God could lead to depression. And a lot of people are living like that. We're expecting God to do something for us. Expectations from God is a big factor. The kind of faith, the way they preach faith to us in our churches could lead to depression, and it could lead to suicide also. And it's not surprising that we see pastors committing suicide. We see church workers committing suicide. We see Christians committing suicide. And the reason is because it's not just because of this, but one of the reasons could be because of expectations. Because when you come to church, some people will tell you that God will hear you, God will hear you. God will hear you today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow. They say, believe. But like you say, like I said, unfulfilled expectations kill your soul, your body. It kills your soul. It kills your bones. So when these people are expecting, and the miracles or the healing that they are believing God for is not coming to pass, that leads them to depression. That takes them to depression, and depression could lead to suicide and mass shooting. So the kind of messages that people preach, making God to be responsible for all our lives, in the sense that, preaching that God will come and do for us what we're supposed to do for ourselves, or God will come and do for us what He already told us to do, that those things could lead to disillusionment and disappointment and depression. I myself used to, listen to a lot of word of faith American preachers, and the impression you have is that one should believe that that your faith will work, and when something is not working, they said it's your faith. You don't have faith, and that kind of talk, that once you believe something, you claim, name and claim or something they call it, or name and claim or something like that. So when you say, oh, I've found a promise, some people preach that you go and find a promise in the Bible. Once you find that promise and you just stand on the promise, the whatever you are believing God for, will be done. As if God is a machine that just go and press that button. Go and press the button. Once you press the button, it will be okay. God will perform. No, God is not a mechanism. It's not a machine. It's not a motor that you could just go and press some button to make him perform. No. God is sovereign, and God is God has his own free will, and God will do what he will do. Even though you could believe him for things, but you cannot always control him. And a lot of people have landed in depression and in suicide thoughts, and even have been dead because they think that God let them down. So the kind of preachings and the kind of messages that is being preached to us, that if you believe, just have faith, and you'll be having faith, and nothing happened. That could lead to disillusionment and depression. And another aspect of messages that could lead to depression and expectations and depression is they tell you to sow a seed. You will get 30-fold, 60-fold, and 100-fold. And they tell you as if it is sure you are going to get it. It is for sure. Just sow it. And how many people have sown? That's why I know that Nigeria and Africa is a depressed place. It's a depressive place right now because of the activities of these churches. I think even a lot of our churches are depressed, a depressed center. They are depressed centers. And a lot of people in the churches are depressed. Even though they are bringing music out and people are dancing away their depression, which is not bad, that's a good thing. Maybe that's why they are not feeling it, and that's why they are not admitting to it that they are in depression. But in real sense, the kind of messages that is being preached to people, that if you sow this amount of money, you will get this result. If you sow the seed of faith or you break through and all that, that will lead to depression. So this kind of expectations that don't come to pass could lead to depression. Even pastors' prayers could lead to depression. Because in our churches these days, pastors go to the pulpit and they are expected to pray for your breakthrough at the end of the service. So you would leave the church on Sunday with the expectation, huge expectation, that some breakthrough will come because the man of God has said it. That some people even say, okay, this week this thing will happen to you, or raise your hand, you'll become a millionaire, and this and that. Pastors give you so much promises, and then they have, all this. Another thing that they do that could lead to depression is the testimonies, because they have all these testimonies that are coming forward, and on one hand, testimonies are good; they are supposed to help you and gear up your faith. But sometimes these testimonies, that when they keep on coming, and it's only a few people, when only 2% of the congregation is giving testimonies, and then you are expected, because each testimony is pushing you to expect that it will be your turn, tomorrow, it will be your turn, the next day, that you will soon get your own breakthrough, you will soon get it, it will be your, and then you are discovering that no, it's not happening. Nothing is happening. The breakthrough is not coming. That also is expectations, failed expectations, unmet expectations. These expectations could lead to heartbrokenness, and not just that, they could lead to depression, to suicide, and to mass shooting. So expectations is one of the factors that could lead to depression, and I think we need to pay attention to that. Well, I want to recommend to you this book here, How to Live an Effective Life. Look for it on Amazon. Look for it, if you are in Africa, you could look for it on a website that is called DSA Books Planet, dsabooksplanet.com. Or that's if you want to get the physical book. But if you want to do the electronic book, you could go to okadabooks.com, or you could buy them on Amazon. So it's supposed to help you to deal with life situation and to live your life more effectively. If you have not yet joined my mentorship program, it's for free. You could go to sundayadelajablog.com/mentorship. sundayadelajablog.com/mentorship, and be able to join the mentorship program that way as well. For those of you who want to join us on our Nigeria project, just go to the same website, sundayadelajablog.com/Nigeria. And I hope that this teaching today has been a blessing to you, and that you'll be able to help yourself and help others. Thank you so much. Peace.